Everybody, I'm Live's Nick Baumgartner here alongside Brendan Quinn, here to introduce a new feature, Brendan, that we're going to do. How often we'll do it, I guess, will remain to be seen on how people, respond to it. But
if people care,
we'll continue to do it.
Say for what it is.
But basically, what this will be, we're calling it the Wolverine Beat. It'll be kind of an informal video chat, almost like a podcast, but with a video where we just kind of bounce around. From different topics on what's going on with Michigan basketball, football, and anything in between. So this will be the first one, and we asked you guys earlier today for your questions. We've got a few we pulled out. We're also going to ask you for your feedback on this. If you liked it, if you think it's cool, or if you hate it, whatever. You're never shy about doing that, so we'll ask for that too at the end. So I guess we'll get right into it because there's plenty of stuff going on. This is actually kind of a busier week for a May week around these parts. The first,
I think Michigan knew that this was going to be tested this week and tried to provide.
They tried to stock up our
high level of craziness.
Stock up our thing, but
yeah.
No, I mean we've had several random things. I mean nothing, I guess, totally unexpected, but sort of unexpected, I guess, in some ways. Dennis Norfleet being the one on top of the stack here. I spoke yesterday with his head coach, his former head coach at King High School, Dale Harbaugh, who says he's been kicked off the team.
Yeah.
Michigan has said nothing. I called a spokesman earlier again today, just actually about an hour ago, and asked specifically, is he on the team? Is he not on the team? No answer. So there's also been reports that he's suspended. Either way, doesn't sound like it's a good thing for Dennis Norfleet. Whether he'll be on the team or not, I guess we can't say at this point, but something's going on.
This is creating a situation that I've only been here less than 2 years, but it seems like these things have a way of just popping up and becoming issues that drag out probably a little bit longer. When I say issues, I mean stories. I mean things that people are talking about because it doesn't get addressed, it doesn't get clarified, and I get it. Some of those things can't be clarified or can't be commented on and whatnot, but you've got a situation where this is now leading to conflicting reports, if you want to call it that. I think at some point Michigan needs to do something a little bit proactive about what's the latest.
Yeah,
but this isn't an arrest.
No,
it hasn't been reported as that.
No, it's not.
It's when you're talking about
and
books and stuff like that.
Right, and that's the thing. You can't get into specifics if you're them on his academic record or whatever it is, because there's laws against that. So I understand that part of it. That you don't, maybe it's a sensitive situation. You don't want to get into detail on it. But is he on the team? Is he not on the team? I guess we'll find out. I don't know. Hopefully for his sake, he finds a way to graduate. I think that's because that seems like it's kind of the issue in the middle here is what's he going to do? Is he going to stay here and finish school? Is he going to leave and go to a different place? I don't know. Right now, it doesn't sound very likely that he's going to be playing football here next year. In terms of what that means for them, let's say he's not, because I guess we're dealing with hypothetical. Let's say he's not. What does that mean for them on the field? It means you got to find a new kick returner and a new punt returner, I suppose. But other than that, I mean, I don't think it's a giant loss in terms of overall production for them on the field. Other than
I look at those spots like the greatest value you can have there is consistency.
Right.
Like the knock against Norfleet was that he wouldn't break the big one and things like that. But just the reliability of being a coach, and there's a turnover on possessions, and you know exactly what you're going to get.
Right.
No turnovers. I thought he was decent at decision making for a college returner. When to
he get a few across the 50, but
even when to take one. When to
he knew what he was doing. Sure.
He knew the right decision to make, and that's like one of those things when you get guys going back there for the first time and you're not sure of what you're going to get.
Right.
It's a hindrance. At the same time, I think a lot of people would like to see young Mr. Peppers back there.
Well, you're going to do with him with punts.
Right.
You wouldn't do him with kickoffs. And the bigger question is going to be now, because Jordan Lewis was a terrific kick returner at Cass Tech when he was in high school, but at the same time, Jordan Lewis is evolved into a player where he's your best cover corner, and you want to throw him back there on kick return and risk him getting hurt. I would say you don't. So what you're probably going to need to do with your kick return is find somebody like Norfleet, who maybe has a role in a certain package on offense, but isn't a guy to where if he gets pop the wrong way on a kick return, because that is one of the most dangerous things, and that's also an underrated skill of Norfleet's. Does this for 4 years, never gets hurt.
And they're super short at the skill.
Yes,
skill guys.
Right.
Guys who have those
low
40 times and things like that.
Absolutely.
The other topic of the week, also reported by you, the FOIAs that went through regarding self-reported violations for Michigan football in the early stages of Jim Harbaugh's tenure here. One of the things that really struck me is that got a lot more play than I thought it was going to, and it's also because everything involving Michigan and the name Harbaugh is national news right now. But we're talking about the same week when Jim Harbaugh's on the cover of the regional Sports Illustrated.
Right,
so maybe I shouldn't have. But when I see Sports Center tweeting the story that you reported, when I see national outlets. 4 self-reported violations is not a lot of violations for a football program, especially of this size with a new coaching staff.
With a new staff, no.
Why don't you kind of explain the process of how that idea came about, why that was a story that was written, and why it was important to be reported on?
Well, I mean, it's a housekeeping matter more than anything else, and that especially when you have a new staff, and a lot of those staff members are from the NFL.
Yep.
What happens is they come in and it's very difficult for them to get, that rule book is, 500 pages, more than that maybe, and I think it updates every 2 years. So understanding the ins and outs of all of it is almost impossible early on. And why it's interesting to report on, I suppose, is that, number one, you're kind of exposing some of the ridiculous rules that exist in the NCAA rule book, in that it's not, Jim Harbaugh donates money to a suicide prevention fund, thinking he's doing the right thing and doing a nice thing for a group of people, and then it turns out that some of that money goes to a high school scholarship fund, which is a violation. So you got a violation. And I think he subtweeted the NCAA earlier in the week saying that, I don't remember what he exactly said, but he made a comment on you try to do a good thing and you're punished for it, whatever it is. But I mean that's kind of where those come from. I mean, we've seen these violations reported before where there's too much. People gave kids too much cream cheese on a bagel. I mean, there's all sorts of random different things that come out of this. And so, really, if anything else, it's a chance to see some crazy things that don't make any sense. Also, a chance to see how up to speed the staff is. Because I can remember when Lane Kiffin took over Tennessee in the first they had dozens and dozens of these self-reported violations because they had no idea what was going on. They didn't take the time to understand and learn it. Michigan had 4. The Wayne Lions...
That was less than I thought.
It was less than I thought. I kind of expected it to be more. The Wayne Lions one where Michael Zordich talked about him before he was signed, we knew that was a violation at the time. So you want to see if they self-reported. And they did. They did the right thing. Nothing's going to come of it. It's not even a slap on the wrist. It's re-educate yourselves on the rule book and don't do it again. So only 4 in 4 months. I honestly thought that wasn't that bad. I thought there would be more than that, more speeding tickets, because these are all unintentional rules that you don't know what the rule means. So basically,
he means speeding tickets in terms of minor violations, not actual.
Right. No, right. Yeah. So I mean, basically, I guess they've done a decent job of getting themselves up to speed on that, which is not easy to do, and I think that's kind of what you draw from it.
And there's probably some credit due to people who no one heard of in that instance.
Yeah, your compliance officer.
The compliance office at Michigan is a small army, and it's not an easy job, and it's really it's thankless if anything. But obviously did a good job of probably getting them up to speed and whatnot. And obviously, you'll see what happens from here. But when it comes to that stuff, it was. The reason that I really expected is because you said, these guys are coming in from the NFL. They start, rolling dice and having a good old time on the recruiting trail, trying to figure this thing out and just get bodies.
And they accidentally fall into one.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So, other big news of the week is
on a good note for Michigan.
The score of scores almost knocked me out of my seat when it went down. Everyone knew Tyus Battle was visiting last weekend. No one expected him to come here.
No.
No one expected no one expected an announcement on Monday.
Right.
Period. B, they thought if he did it early, it would maybe be in June because his dad had said a couple times.
They still wanted to visit.
Talking with Syracuse.com, had said, I'm hoping for a June commitment. And that was mainly because Gary Battle, I ended up talking to him for 35 minutes yesterday. Yeah. Gary Battle was just done with the process, and he wanted him to focus on USA basketball
sure.
making junior teams. He's not a big AAU guy, which is a huge star.
Yeah.
In my book, if I'm evaluating kids or looking at that,
Just focus on
that
USA.
world,
That's probably better. Yeah.
USA basketball is where you want your top prospects at. And then out of the blue though, Monday, ball drops. He, Evans Daniels from Scout tweets it. 1 second later, he sent his own tweet, and you wrote a really good column about it. Where as much as I hate to say that you did. It was
once in a while.
It was on point in terms of what this thing meant.
Yeah.
That was one of the questions this week, so might as well just do it.
Right.
Do it now. You've been here longer than me.
Right.
You hear the knock as much as I do on
Yeah.
D-line about his recruiting. That a program like Michigan shouldn't always. It's all one thing you go get a 3-star every once in a while that can develop. It's another thing when 75% of your roster is kids like that. That is a knock on him.
Yeah.
I don't know if this answers it.
Well,
I don't know if it needed answering.
I don't know if it does either, but this was something that kind of followed him his whole career. When he got the job here, that was a question of
big knock on him at Canisius too.
Right, obviously in Richmond, all these places. But when he got the job here, people wondered, is he ever going to be able to recruit these McDonald's All-Americans?
Mm-hmm.
He's never done it. I mean, his system was and still is very different.
Right.
It's more involved now to where it can actually feature some of these guys like this, and that's kind of the bigger thing to me. That was kind of what I wrote about in that. It was a thing that he had to deal with for years and years. Then they go to a Final Four. Then they get to a national title game, and you see they plump out 6 draft picks, and everybody, analysts, fans, whatever, sort of assumed their recruiting profile would just explode because Michigan is a huge name.
Yeah.
Number one, and number two, D-line has proven that he can develop NBA talent. And that didn't happen. So the recruiting profile did not explode. They got in on maybe a few more kids than they would have normally.
It's also one of the biggest false,
but it was still an assumption
tents that people get into after every Final Four. Is every school thinks we're going to suddenly be the recruiting.
You do have an opportunity there though,
right?
That you didn't already have, and if you can't take advantage of it immediately, it goes away.
I just think it's seen a lot less often than people think.
Probably
it is.
But I guess the bigger part of it is that to me, they got in on a lot of kids, and they got kind of down to the wire-ish on a lot of players that would have fit perfectly for their system that were premium 5-star elite talents. For whatever reason, it didn't work. Whether it be they're different with their recruiting methods, they're more passive, they're not as relentless other places, whatever it might be. They finally found a kid and his dad who understood their pitch for what it was, and that your son is a 6'6" guard, wing, whatever, that can do all these things, and in this offense, there's no limit on what he can do. Like, I look at Tyus, and they said, okay, we're good, we're in. And that has not happened in those 2 years. So that was a huge thing for him, I think, reputation-wise, obviously for the team and everything else. Will it lead to more guys like this? I don't know. I think it's going to take unique kids to play here. I've always said that. But it's a huge get for them. I mean, it's always for more ways than one.
It's always going to be fit here.
Yeah, it's not going to be
when it comes to those elite kids, it's always going to be fit. Because when I was talking to Gary Battle yesterday, he specifically said that this was a like-minded place with like-minded kids. That there is not the crazy, bigger, larger-than-life star here. There's no giant egos in that locker room.
Right.
It's a collection of non-problem kids. There's a reason that there are no arrest kids getting kicked out, anything like that connected with this program, because they get a very specific type of kid. Mm-hmm. And if you find an elite athlete who sees himself in that group,
then you got a chance.
That's what happened here.
Not to say that the kids they missed on weren't bad.
Very well,
might not have been,
but I think that's kind of a prerequisite though for what they do get.
Right.
What Gary himself said that he had not seen Tyus smile as much, be as open. He's a shy kid. Yeah. He hadn't seen him be as open in other places. They'd been everywhere. They'd been to Duke, Louisville. They went 3 or 4 times.
Duke. Everyone assumed Duke was
the leader. Yeah. I mean, Gary thought he was going to Duke, and the mom wanted him to go to Duke. But the minute he got here, he felt a comfort level he didn't feel other places, and that's it. So, I don't think everyone likes to paint something like this as like turning the corner. Now they're going to start cleaning up on these guys. It doesn't work that way. This could be a once in a kind of decade deal of getting a top 10 kid.
And if you make the most of it, maybe you have a chance to convince somebody else. But
yes,
at the same time, that other person has to be a unique individual. Mitch McGarry was very unique, and his situation was very unique.
Recruiting another 5-star, especially a point guard, Cassius Winston in Detroit, you get to say, you're coming in with this guy.
Yeah, in that class,
that helps.
It helps.
Right.
But down the road, I mean, it's a crapshoot because that's what people don't understand. There's two things. One, we hear he can't recruit a big guy. He can't recruit. Why doesn't he ever go after these 5-star big men? And he did get McGarry, but McGarry's a separate situation. Yes. I'll tell you this: if I'm a 5-star big guy who wants to play with my back to the basket, who wants 15 touches a game, there's no way in hell I'm coming here because you're never going to get it. No. So that's why they can't get a big guy like that of that caliber. It has to be a project guy because why would you come here? And they're going to be negatively recruited against by everyone else.
Their system absolutely,
it doesn't make any
successful
sense.
as it is, it absolutely gets a negative recruiting
all the time. And
Tyus Battle was told
you want
to go play in the Princeton offense,
right? Or he's told they're going to make you a power forward.
It's crazy,
right? Or they tell him we're going to make you. They're just you go there. They're going to make you play the 4.
Yeah.
So many kids have been told that over the past 2 years that they missed on. You're a 2 guard. You're a 6'6" 2 guard. They tell you want to go play 2 guard. You're going to go there and they're going to make you guard power forwards, which. Maybe they will. I mean, that might be a thing. So that plays into it too. The system's different. Beeline's different.
Yeah,
it's a different situation. That's why you don't see them rolling in 5 stars every single year when people just assume that's the way to go. Right. Maybe it is. Maybe it's not. I guess we'll find out.
And I don't think John Beilein wants 6 5-stars in his program.
No, I mean it's just not.
It's not. It doesn't fit.
It brings headaches that he's just not ready or willing to deal with.
All right, question time. We're going to need to create some kind of thing, an effect. Or a whistle, or maybe a ding bell, or something. Dress it up so it's not our dumb faces. Is Jake Ruddock on campus yet, Nick?
No, he is not yet. He will be.
Oh wait, that comes from. I'm supposed to read the. Bless you, Jimmy. There you go. We're gonna have to make sure we screen some of these first.
Jake Ruddock is not on campus yet. Taking his finals right now. He will be on campus shortly thereafter that. I believe he already has his playbook and everything else though, so he should be ready to roll when he gets in the summer.
Day 1 starter.
I think so, unless something crazy happens. I would assume.
Who's the Tyus Battle of Jim Harbaugh's recruiting interest? That comes from Entirely Reasonable, which is one of the more ironic commenter names out there, I think.
In the 2016 class, the number 1 player in the country is Rashawn Gary. He's a defensive tackle from Jabril Peppers' high school, Paramus Catholic. Chris Partridge is his former high school coach. He is also here.
They're going to have to set up a separate recruiting office in Jersey.
I know. They've got all these Jersey kids coming. So he's the biggest fish in the country, and he's the guy. I think a lot of people think Michigan is the favorite for him, which would make sense. He's got so many ties to this place. There's actually 2 players, Juwan Bushell-Beatty and Peppers, and then Chris Partridge. So a lot of inside track on that one. If they missed on him, that would probably be pretty bad for them, I would think. Yeah. But that looks like that's the guy. That's the guy they want, and that's number 1 target.
He's circled. He's on the top of the list. Nick or Brendan, when is MLive going to get an exclusive sit-down interview with Coach Harbaugh?
Boy, when they answer, we'll let you know, because we've asked, like everyone else.
How many national outlets have had us sit down with him?
Let's see. He's done HBO. He's done CBS, Fox, Sports Illustrated this week. I don't think he did anything with ESPN. To my knowledge, I don't know. I don't think he has. Yahoo? No. So USA Today, Fox, CBS, HBO, SI.
5.
Yeah, which honestly isn't that much because there's not one outlet in the country of any that covers college football that hasn't asked for something from him. So, and then we get this yesterday too. And maybe this comes from Michigan State fans who don't or just trolling, I don't know. But Michigan's constantly trying to push Jim Harbaugh into pitch Jim Harbaugh to all these places, so that they can write these. They want them to write these stories. It's the opposite of that. People are coming here in droves, begging at their door for 5 minutes to talk to this guy. We're not making this up. He is, because he still transcends NFL and college. And so his story right now is just huge, and it'll be that way for a long, long time, and it'll probably get repeated a bunch of times. I'm interested to see what the Sports Illustrated story, Michael Rosenberg's been around here a long time. He knows Michigan very well, so could be interesting stuff in there.
Sure, it'll be a good story.
Yeah, could be some good stuff.
I'm interested to see when they let the locals talk to him.
Yeah, we'll see. Haven't yet.
it's a thing, and it's always going to come off as the beat writers moaning and groaning and complaining and whatever. But at the same time,
we do best.
If you're not, if the guys who are here every single day, someone like you who's at every single thing.
Well, he just
it's like me for basketball. This is an outlet. There are other outlets who pay lots of money every year to go on road games and everything like that. Those are the people that
hasn't done a lot of
deserve
media
as much
stuff.
as anything. He hasn't. I know. I mean, that's always a point of contention on me. I can complain all day about that. Brendan, inquiring minds want to know Brill Cream, Fop, Dapper Dan, or Pomade. I guess that's in reference. It's just a little paste, man.
Brill Cream?
It's that. It's a paste. I don't even remember the brand. That and the spirit of my forefathers, the will to keep that looking.
You can't train that.
Do you think Beeline is grooming Laval Jordan to be a successor? I know there is no coach in waiting, and Beeline isn't retiring anytime soon. But would it take a really good job for Jordan to leave Michigan? That's from Jason. The last question was from WMU Go Blue. Brevity is the soul of wit.
That's really long.
That's that's kind of ironic.
Right.
It's a long name that says brevity is the soul of wit. So, but the Jason question about Laval Jordan, he was up for jobs again this summer. He didn't get any. He interviewed.
Right.
He was in the mix most recently at Bowling Green, while Bakari Alexander was in the mix at Wisconsin Green Bay. Look, I mean, Laval Jordan is very much a name in circles as a new guy, a hot name. I'm surprised. I thought he was going to get one last summer. I thought for sure he was going to get one this summer.
I thought this summer would be
I don't think that many good mid-major jobs opened.
No.
There, for as much change as there was, this wasn't a crazy offseason as far as coaching searches go. But coach in waiting,
no, that's not gonna
I don't know. You don't even know who the AD is going to be. You don't know
Beeline,
when Beeline's going to step down.
You guys need to understand something about Beeline in that everyone says, is he grooming somebody as a coach in waiting? Has he got all these grand plans for 5 years from now? Does he have all these grand plans for 3 years from now?
Does not exist.
Beeline doesn't know what he's going to do for dinner later tonight. This guy is, you talk to him, and anyone's ever met him, it's like 1 second at a time. So to suggest that he would be even remotely thinking about that. I remember when Dave Brandon made him sign the new contract a couple years ago,
right.
And he didn't sound all that thrilled because Brandon asked him when he wanted to retire.
Right.
And he said, I want you to coach here until you retire. And he was like, but I want you to think about how long you want to coach. And he was like, I have no idea. Yeah. And you talk to all of his family members. You talk to all those. They have no clue. Yeah. He doesn't think about this sort of stuff. So coach in waiting, no way. No. He's trying to win right now. That's all if Laval leaves, he leaves. And that's that. I
don't know if John knows what he would do if he retired.
No.
So the mere thought of it is something that
I think he's going to be in basketball for a long, long time.
Not even broaching
he's in
the
good
subject.
Health.
Yeah,
I think that contract was signed through basically, what was it,
2018-19.
And he even said, I only said that date because we were recruiting kids in 2015, and I wanted to see 2015, 2016, and I wanted to see their careers end.
I in no way would be surprised if he took this next year's team, to second round tournament, Sweet 16, Elite 8, whatever, and within a couple weeks of the season ending, they announce another extension.
Yeah.
Would in no way surprise me.
No, I just think he's going to do it as long as he
wants. With a pay bump, perhaps, he's at 2.45, but the number always goes up every year.
He's in good shape, doesn't
he takes
damage his body.
Takes care of himself.
I think he'll do it for a long time.
So, no, Laval's going to get a job. I don't know where or when, but he's due.
There's no coach in waiting. I mean, obviously, if it'd be something where, and this is the other thing, no coach in waiting, but if Laval gets a job, which would be good for him, you have to get a job before you become a head coach at a place like this. If he gets a job, goes on, does something else, and then in 5-6 years, Beeline does decide he wants to retire, Of course Laval would be maybe a guy on that list of.
I mean, I don't know.
Would it be a shoe-in? No. But
if Laval was willing to wait,
depending on how he
ride it out, I think he would certainly be a top candidate.
I don't think Beeline would tell him to do that either. That's nonsensical. I don't know why coaches do that. Look at Syracuse.
Yeah.
He's what's his name? Hopkins. Who am I thinking of?
Waters.
No, Syracuse. Boeheim's lead assistant who's been there for
been there for like 3
whatever
decades
his name
waiting
is.
for Boeheim to
waiting for all this to happen, and now he's going to get fired, or not fired. Boeheim's quitting, and this guy's not going to get the job.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you doing? I mean,
Yeah.
that doesn't make any sense. I don't like when that happens. It doesn't make any sense.
It's not.
It doesn't seem ideal for anybody.
Safest move. And you look at, remember, wasn't James Franklin the coach in waiting at Maryland?
Might have been. Will
Now he's the
Will
head coach.
Muschamp was the coach in waiting at Texas.
Now he's the head coach at Penn State. So
yeah.
I mean,
and now he's been fired since then at Florida.
Right. Where were we here? How big of a week was this for Beeline in securing Tyus Battle's commitment? I mean, we touched on this earlier, but
that was huge.
Yeah.
I said, when every year they give out those offers to the sophomores.
Yeah.
The first time they offer anybody, which I believe it would have been last summer for these kids, the 16s.
Going into their junior year.
Yeah. And every year, and this is how they do it because they're different, they send out those batches of offers to 2016 kids. And I looked at the kids last year, and it was Battle and Derek Thornton and like Quentin Gooden, I think, got one.
Yep.
Seth Towns got one.
Yep.
I remember looking at all the kids that got the offers, and those are the kids.
TJ Leaf was one,
the
right?
kids on the top of their board. And I thought, if they had to sell their soul for any player, it would have been. I thought it would have been Tyus Battle because I think he's like the perfect fit for what they're trying to do.
Yeah. And the idea when Beeline can get a guy that is multi-dimensional, I think that's when you see his coaching, his X's and O's at its peak. And obviously it makes sense. It's easier to coach talent.
Sure.
But, I feel like when he gets maybe a guy like Mitch, where that doesn't exactly fit the system, and you're kind of, adjusting on the fly and things like that. But when you have a guy who's just tailor-made for what they do here in Battle, like we said, he's already thinking minute to minute, but that in the back of his head, he's already thinking a year down the line of what he's going to be able to do with this kid.
I remember what they did with Stauskas when he was a sophomore.
Right.
And they're not the same player, they're different players. But to me, that's the role that Tyus Battle plays.
Mm-hmm.
He's a two-guard who technically plays off the ball, but all your offense runs through him when it really needs to because he can get to the basket, he can pass off the dribble, and he can shoot. And that's what Stauskas was able to do. He could see over the top of defenders.
Mm-hmm.
He ran their offense. Basically, everything went through him, and it was the number one offense in the country. And to me, that's the kind of player this kid is, and that's what I believe his high school coach even said, Beelin's going to put the ball in his hands in space, and they're going to run everything through him.
And his Merchant Cena, the head coach at Gill St. Bernard, one of the things that he said was, if you watch the YouTube clips and all the highlights of him, for someone who's as raw of an athlete as Battle is, he's such a refined player that his highlight clips aren't just three-pointers and dunks.
No, they're pass. Yeah,
he's passing the ball. There's mid-range jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
There's transition jumpers. Just things that you don't see out of a lot of 16-year-olds who can go up and dunk on everyone and make threes.
When I do the Stauskas thing, I think everybody thinks they're the same guy, and they think of Stauskas as shooting, and he's not. Battle's not the shooter. Stauskas is not even close, but he's probably 3 or 4 times the athlete.
Yes.
So in that sense, maybe it even works better in a way. I'm not trying to get ahead of myself because Stauskas was fantastic that year, but if he's more of an athlete and he can get off the dribble, I mean, if he's probably got a great first step. I mean, it's a legit triple threat situation where you put him on a wing and let him run your team.
Yep.
So big deal.
And put a good point guard with him, and now you're really talking.
Yeah.
Last one, Medler. This feature needs to include each of you dramatically reading your Twitter hate mentions.
Oh man.
Again, getting ahead of ourselves. We have to make sure that this thing works, and that
we're not ready for
that you care.
We don't even know how to use the bleep button yet, and that would be required.
The fact that we've made it now 28 minutes, and
no one swore.
I don't think I've spoken quite as much because that was my biggest fear.
Right.
But we'll get to that eventually. But first of all, I think the most important thing is we want to know what you guys think of this. If you like the idea, if you're willing to listen to us ramble on for this long and kind of be more free-flowing and not the typical stand-up interview stuff you see us do. So we'll see. We'll see what the response is.
And we'll come back maybe
carry the day as normal.
Come back maybe next month or something. I mean, we've got, middle of May?
Well, you're going to Mexico, so first of all, you have to make it back.
Yeah, well, if I get back alive, then we'll do it maybe in June, early June. I got to make it back alive, so that's task number 1.
Eat the worm, man.
I'll let you guys know how that goes.
All right. Well, we're going to sign off for today, but if you actually made it this far, thank you very much.